You know, we can't do it that way. It's just not right. We've got to write a manual first. Tell people. I'm telling you, you got to write a manual. Make it a PDF. Set out the principles in order. Make it simple. People are lost. They're going to read the PDF and they're going to be found. It's going to be like an instruction manual for life. Because you know, when we pop out of the womb, we haven't got the instruction manual, and even if we did, we couldn't read it. And it may not be in the language of your native country. I know. I am a fervent believer in giving people the kind of clarity they need to navigate the perils of life, and the perils too. You got that look. I recognize it. That's the look that says you have got no faith. You have got no faith in me, you got no faith in yourself, and you got no faith. And don't start crying, because those tears are not going to solve your problem. Everybody thinks that when the going gets rough, they can just cry it out. They can't. You can't. That's not your style. Just don't look at me like that. Don't look at me like that. It's not gonna work. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not that kind of guy, you know. What do you see? What do you see when you look at me? You see that kind of guy? Quit sniffling. None of that. Quit sniffing. Just eat your trail mix and listen to me. Now, I have got a plan for us, but you need to read that PDF first. It's life's instruction manual. If you're gonna work with me, be with me, travel with me, you need to tidy up. You need to wipe the snot from your nose. Wipe the snot from your nose. Just get the snot right there and flick it off. Clean your fingernails. Take off the handcuffs. This is not BDSM. You know, when we know life's instruction manual, we know how to sail through life on a breeze. Well, you have given up and you crumple and you collapse right there in the corner. Handcuff yourself to the radiator and cry your eyes out, but that's not going to work with people like me. We don't collapse like that, so we don't accept it when people collapse like that. I'm here to lead people to the promised land. But they've got to read that PDF first. There's a lot of people around the world handcuffed to their radiators, just looking for a guy like me. They know they're 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years overdue with that PDF. I don't even have their email addresses, so I can't get it to them. But when I come to places like this and I burst through the front door, see you there, you can bet I've got a print-out version of that PDF just waiting to give it to you. I am traveling across the country, helping out people like you. chained to your radiators, full of despair, no hope. You're giving up. Don't give up. You can read. And just wipe that snot off your nose, because you're not going to tour the country with snot in your nose. No, I've got a whole bandwagon outside of 20 people. They've read the PDF. They know. Probably not going to stand here the whole time while you read it. I also notice that your lips are moving while you're reading it. That's going to slow you down. You know, there's two types of readers. There's the lip movers and the ones who hear it in their head while they're reading. I don't want you to be either of those. We don't have the time. They're out waiting in the bandwagon. Do you know why you're such a mess? Do you? How long were you chained to the radiator? A week? How you feed yourself? You train your cat to come give you food? Now the cat's taking care of you instead of you taking care of your cat. What have human beings come to? I am traveling around the country, going into apartment to trailer homes, and I'm finding this epidemic of people handcuffed to the radiators. Their cats are feeding them. They have this absent, dazed, and confused look. That's not how it was meant to be. That is not how this was meant to end. You gotta make yourself great again. Make yourself great again. Quit the pathetic pity parties. You know the pathetic pity parties. That's what people told you about when you were a teenager. You were all brooding and upset about something you didn't get. And your mom slapped it down on you and said, "Stop the pity party," and threw you in the corner. Stop the pity party. And somehow that just escalated over time. And before you know it, you're handcuffing yourself to radiators. Everybody outside right now in my bandwagon, all of them, done with the pity parties. And it's one of those bandwagons that was used for hay, bales of hay. And so there's the bed of the truck or the bed of the wagon, and it goes up with these metal rods, and then there's the big planks of wood going down the sides. So you could stand up in it, and you'd still be looking through the slots of wood. And guess what? They don't handcuff themselves to that. They're free thinkers. They're done with the snot-nosed brat. Snot-nosed cat. I'm not going to stay here forever rebuking you. You need to pull yourself together. You need to get off the floor and put on a pair of socks, for Christ's sake. And before you put on those socks, you need to clean your toes. You've just descended into this anti-hygienic state. And everybody out in that bandwagon is spick and span. If you're going to get out there in that bandwagon with those people and it's standing room only, you're going to clean yourself up. Because you need to have this all tight, put together. You need to be presentable. Because when I'm done teaching you all the principles in the PDF, you are going to take that PDF and print it out at Kinko's. You are going to go into the trailer homes. You are going to go into the apartments. You are going to go wherever I tell you, because you're going to understand from that PDF. What is wrong with this country? What is wrong with its people? These people don't know. They don't have the basic principles that explain to them why things are so fucked up. You don't even know why you handcuffed yourself. It's the process started a decade ago. And pretty soon you learned so much helplessness that you gave up. You gave up. That's the true pandemic that's going on in the world today. People don't have the PDF. They've never heard of the PDF. They don't know the principles inside of it, so they don't know what to do. And so over time, the attrition sets in over time. The atrophy overtakes their soul. And they just dwindle and wilt. Can you believe it? It is hard to believe. Human beings were so powerful and so majestic thousands and thousands of years ago, but now look what they've become. You know, and you saw it, you've seen those cartoons. It goes from, you know, an ape. Well, first it's a four-legged creature, then it's an ape, and then it's a hominid, and then it's a prehistoric man, and then it's a modern man, and then the next one is a guy hunched over a computer, and now it's you handcuffed to a radiator. That's not how this is going to end. You have been hunched over your TV, your computer screen for too long. Right? They got you. They got you addicted to your screen. And you became so dismal, so depressed, so despondent that you could not continue. You didn't have any hope. What was there to hope for? So you did what every human being should do in your situation. You started to pray. You had got to the point where you didn't trust yourself anymore, hence the handcuffs. But that's not an answer, because you could sit here and starve to death if your cat doesn't feed you. You have to train your cat first, or your dog, or your parakeet. And then the people who don't have pets, how do they get fed? And then you prayed. That's the one thing that you did right. And I'm not trying to judge you. You didn't have a choice. You were born without the PDF. You don't know what you're doing with your life. You didn't get the instruction manual upon birth. I get it. You weren't told what was happening behind the scenes. And what's happening behind the scenes is precisely why you don't get the PDF. A lot of chaos, a lot of evil. You know this. You can't put your finger on it, can't describe it accurately. It just basically handicaps and hobbles you over time until you're helpless. Because it gets its mental operating systems in your mind. So the way you look at reality is a problem. And you lose the will to live. I get it. I've got 45 people out there in that bandwagon. They're packed like sardines. But they all smell good because I told them they couldn't leave their apartment unless they shaped up. Because if you don't shape up, there's no shipping out. We're going to change this country. We're going to get people reading our PDF. We're going to get them back in line. And it's going to be a movement, it's grassroots, and it starts with a bandwagon. And when these people are out, deployed, making this country great again, They're going to recruit people like themselves. You cannot even be in this troop unless you are handcuffed to a radiator. Because you're not going to know. You're not going to be able to identify with the crisis that afflicts the human soul in this year of our Lord 2020. You're not going to get it. So how can you actually have a connection unless you've been there? And I tell you what, one bandwagon now, 45 people, but every one of those people is gung-ho. They're renegade Marines. They're on point. They're on mission. They're going to free people. And when they get really good, I don't want them in that bandwagon anymore. I want 45 bandwagons full of 45 people, and then those 45 people get their own 45 bandwagons, and we save this country. Because this is not what human beings are supposed to be. It's nihilism. Do you know that? Nihilism is an abyss in the heart of all these people across this nation, across the world. And that nihilism is like the fabled black hole. It just sucks all meaning into it, and life becomes meaningless, and you don't want that. Life isn't supposed to be meaningless. Life isn't supposed to be this way. All this normalized deception and normalized evil, it incapacitates the human soul. So bring your toothbrush. Bring your floss. If you don't floss, now's the time. You're going to start flossing. Wash your pits. Wash your pits real nice. Make sure you're cleaning all your orifices. Q-tips to the ear. Wipe out the eye boogers from the eyelashes. All those things that are basic that you've been neglecting for, I don't know how long you've been neglecting it. It ends today. All the madness ends today. You don't understand where we're going. You are just going to have to trust my lead. Someday, you're going to look back on this moment, and you're going to thank me. Because you're going to become for others what I am for you now. And you're going to understand how badly we've been led astray as a civilization, as human beings. And you're going to understand something, that we weren't meant to be sheep. We weren't meant to be zombies. We were not meant to be soulless cogs in a machine, and we were not meant to be handcuffed to radiators. I understand it's so bad out there, hostile and cold, that you gave up. You wanted to wither away. You don't have to do that. You need to understand that truth is what saves us. And that all of civilization has been an institutionalized deception. And when you start to carry that truth, embody that truth, you will break people free of the radiators.